Alright, hello everybody. Coming at you with a quick video to get you going on lesson 12, the traversals make lesson. Okay, this app isn't too complicated, but it might be a little tricky to get started with, so we'll kind of walk you through some of the steps to get going with it. Okay, let's take a look at the example app we have here. Random forecaster. What's the weather in? Let's get a forecast. And essentially all I do, each time I click this button, it's going to give me a random weather forecast in a different city. Now the fun part is these are actual weather forecasts for tomorrow, okay, up to date, and it just gives us 4 random cities around the country. Okay, so a few things to think about here. What information is needed to create this app? Well, we need a list of cities. We'll need to know the high and low predicted temperatures. Okay, kind of description of the overall weather, and then an icon here. And then the other question is what list filtering patterns might be used. Okay, we're going to have to actually take a look at the data before we get into that. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so right off the bat, it doesn't look like they really give us much to work with. But there is one huge thing in the background that's going to make everything happen here. If I click on my data tab, which is something that's kind of new to the last few lessons we've been going through, notice there's already a data table that's been kind of uploaded to this app for us. And when I click on that, what I see happening here is it gives me various states and cities and dates with actual weather forecasts as far as the condition, description. These are actually some images we can use to display in the image part of the app, along with low temperatures, high temperatures, and some other information that we're not necessarily going to use, but okay, it's kind of all there for us. And this is a fairly large table. As I scroll through here, looks like there are lots and lots of cities. And one of the tricks working with this is notice that Anchorage is listed multiple times. Every city is listed multiple times. Basically, they're giving us, it looks like 5 forecasts for each. Okay, one for the next day. Okay, I'm recording this on 12/1, so there's one for 12/2, then also 12/3, 12/4, 12/5, 12/6. Okay, so we kind of have 5-day forecasts for each of these cities here. Now, as far as where this information is coming from, here code.org has some pre-loaded data tables. Now, we could also create our own tables, which we'll get into later, but from the science section, it looks like there's a daily weather deal. And if I clicked on this link, I could actually see the site that code.org is pulling this from. Okay, again, it is real weather forecasts, okay, up to date that we're using for this app. Okay, so back to our code. The first thing we're going to want to do is create some lists to hold the cities, okay, the high temperature, the low temperature, the condition, this image here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll walk you through kind of creating a few of these, and you can use them to use this pattern to keep going on your own. Let's start off with cities. And what am I going to create that from? I'm going to go to my data. Now there's one kind of block we're given to start off with. That's this get column from a table. Okay, as far as the data we go through, it's the columns such as the dates, the conditions, okay, the cities that we're looking for. So what I'll do is I want to get the column from which table. I want to choose the daily weather table we have. And we'll start off by grabbing the city column from that table. Okay. Let's console log that to see what we have here to begin with. Whoops. Let's console log cities. Let's run this program. And what I see is my list of all my cities here. But notice the issue I have is, as you can see, Anchorage is listed 5 times. Basically what this list is containing is each city, and it's going to have each kind of weather forecast 5 times, one for each of those days. Okay, we don't want that. We just want one weather forecast. So the trick for getting this going is going to be to filter through those and just get the forecasts for tomorrow rather than all 5 of them. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is I'm going to create we're going to need 2 more tables to get going. I'm going to make one for the what do we call it? Forecast number. Okay, because for each of these cities, we want the one with forecast number 1 for tomorrow's date. Okay, forecast number 1 is the second again. Forecast number 1 is the second. So I need to look at the forecast number. Oops, that didn't do anything. And again, I'm going to get a column from the daily weather table. And I want to choose the forecast number in this case. And then the other thing I'm going to need to create is another cities table. I'm going to call this cities filtered. And I'm going to start it off as a empty list. What I can do then is I can loop through my forecast numbers list. So let's pull out a for loop. We'll run from I equals 0 to I less than forecast number dot length. Okay, so we're going to loop through that whole list. And what I want to check and see is I want to figure out where that number is equal to 1. So we'll say forecast number at index I, and I want to see where that's equal to 1. Okay, so those are going to be all the entries in my table where we're talking about the first forecast, so as in the forecast for the next day. So what I want is I want those indexes, and what I can do then is if I have I, an index that gives me a forecast number of 1, I know that's an entry I want. I'm then going to append that to my cities forecast list. Oops, I'm sorry, cities filtered is what I meant. And I want to append from cities at index I. Okay, since the way these tables match up, if the forecast is 1, the city will be the first city, and then I'll have all the information in that same row at that same index, okay, for that next day in that city. Okay, I'm going to run this code, but instead of printing cities, I'm going to print cities filtered. And then notice this time my data table has Anchorage, or my list has Anchorage listed once, Fairbanks listed once, Juneau listed once. Okay, so it's not repeating those. We're only grabbing the elements, okay, when the forecast equals 1. Okay, I'm going to repeat that pattern one more time. Let's make another list for, let's say, high temps. We want to grab the data from our daily weather table again. And this time I want to get the high temperatures. Okay, now that list is going to be filled with the high temperatures for forecast day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We only want the ones. Okay, which is why we're going to create a high temps filtered again. We'll start that as an empty list once again. And then within my loop, we'll do the same thing. We'll append to high temps filtered. The entry from high temps at index I. Okay, when I run that then, what we'll end up with are two parallel lists where the first city from my cities filter list will match the first high temp from my high temps filter list. And I can do that for the low temperature, for the condition, for the correct image, and then I'll be good to create the rest of my app using those parallel lists, only having the data from the from when the forecast number equals 1. Okay, hopefully that gets you going. Hopefully it gets you started. Okay, you can kind of keep on building out those lists and go into building the rest of the app. All right, if you need help, we'll be here to help you out with this one. Let us know.